Welcome, everyone, to staff meeting. That was so long.
I am overwhelmed with whatever that was.
So long and very topical.
Right.
Right?
Topical as there are a lot of topics in there?
There were many topics that were covered. I'm Frank. For those of you listening to the podcast and can't read our lower thirds, I'm joined by a big group of people today. James, Al, Brennan, Russell, and Darren. We are doing a staff meeting on Non-Productive.com, streaming to you live via the internets. What staff meeting, I hear you ask, because your microphone is on at all times. That's just a little creepy pause there. Basically, we have a weekly production meeting where we talk about all the things we want to make for Non-Productive and then barely put any effort into actually making it real. And that's what staff meeting is. So welcome to this. We have a lot on our plate today. We're going to get right into it. Darren and Al, you weren't here for pre-production, so just roll with it. Everything that happens, just expect that it was all part of the plan. And that really was all of pre-production, so you don't have to worry about it. What you drinking, Darren?
It's a little wine spritzer.
Wine spritzer.
You know, it's
nice.
It's the summer months are coming in. I want to, something refreshing and clean.
I wanted to start this with what you drinking. James, what are you drinking?
Got some beer. Beer I can't pronounce, but it's a German wit beer. My sister left. It was very good.
I've got sink water. Delicious sink water.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's in a filter pitcher. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'm safe. All right, let's get started. We're gonna start this off pretty simply. I'm gonna share the agenda with all of you. Right. Big things. I'm gonna quickly go over everything that we said we were gonna talk about, and I'm sure none of these, or maybe 50% of these, will actually come up. We're gonna talk about Marvel versus DC because we are contractually obligated to do so as a geek focused entertainment network.
Pretty much.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Dungeon Not Included. It's a podcast on our own network and about gaming in general. Brennan is here to help me go through all that. We're going to discuss giant robots with Russell Collins because he is contractually obligated to talk about that as well, and maybe get a little hint about is that Tier Ragers? T-Ragers. Teenagers in love.
Teenagers in love.
I'm into it. I don't know what that is, but I'm into it. We're going to talk about the second edition of Tears of a Machine. And let's see what else we got on this agenda. Ooh, transition effects. SNL Nerds, glad you showed up, Darren, because we were going to assign you what you guys are doing this summer. No, we're going to talk a little bit about SNL Nerds. The season of SNL has closed. And, our most popular show on our network, I'm not backing that up with any data, but I'm just going to say it, is now looking for something to cover in the summer months. And then maybe book club, and maybe I get to talk a little bit about TV because I finally got to watch a show to completion. I'm an adult.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You make it sound more impressive than it is, Frank.
It is very hard for me. This whole thing, this last year has been exhausting for many, many reasons, but one of which is my living situation means I get to watch a half hour me time a day. And that does not translate well over because I like my hour-long dramas. I like to get deep into that Fargo, if you know what I'm talking about. Just started season 3. All right. So let's start at the beginning. Everybody's on deck for this one. We're going to talk about Marvel versus DC. And specifically, we're now, hopefully, fingers crossed, coming out of this global pandemic that if you are, not native to Earth, you have no idea what we're talking about. But everybody else gets it. Things will never be the same and yada, yada. It's a super serious topic that we're not going to bum you out by going to great detail with, but my big question for everyone is what, if anything, it could be a Marvel DC movie, it could be these big franchise things, or it could be something else. What would bring you back into theaters at this point?
Man, I've already been.
You have. Oh, that's a good question. Who has so far, Brennan? What have you seen?
I saw Raya and the Last Dragon, and what the hell did I just see last weekend? Obviously, it wasn't too memorable.
That would be a good name for a movie, though. An indie flick. What the hell did I see last weekend? Or a horror movie, anything. Anybody else?
It was a Quiet Place too. That's what it was.
all right.
Oh,
All right. That's good.
Well-
How were both of them?
They were good. It was nice to be in a theater for a change. That's
How
really
was-
what it was.
How was A Quiet Place 2? I loved seeing the first one. I saw it in like a later showing in like a theater that wasn't packed in Boston, and it was just amazing how quiet it was.
It was. What's my review of it? I don't think it was a bad movie. It was entertaining. I was entertained, but it's not like treading any new ground from the first movie. You know what I mean? It's a continuation of the story that I don't know that it needed to be continued. So
Except for the
So now we'll obviously get 5 more, right?
No,
right,
yeah. And the experience was going back to the theater was
It was great because there was basically nobody there. So
that's so interesting. So I mean, I would love to be back in theaters myself. For me, it's weird. I don't not to get too personal, but we had a beautiful little kid born to us during the pandemic, and it's weird because he obviously cannot be vaccinated yet. He's not old enough, and it also, a lot of the things that happens when you first have a kid mirrors a lot of the shutdown stuff that happens when the globe is having a pandemic. Not to belittle the pandemic, but like, so like, how do I go to the movies? I haven't gone without my wife in years, and like, we have to take shifts now. We have or find a babysitter who is able to take care of him when he's seen nothing but us for a while. So it's so surreal for me. I don't know what it would take to get me back in. Anybody else have any crises that they're dealing with about this issue, or am I literally the only one?
No, I just don't know. I'm trying to think of something that would really bring me back to the theater. Brennan kind of gets it. Like, I loved A Quiet Place, but I didn't know if I needed to see more. So that wasn't one of them, and it's not that I obviously I love the Marvel movies and I love the Marvel TV shows and stuff like that. But, the post Endgame fatigue and just how well, the past 2 Marvel series played on TV. Now they've gotten me used to watching it, in the man cave here.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if that's going to drag me out to the theater. I think it might be Dune. Yeah. So
good answer.
So just some context, right? So I love, and I'm going to butcher his name here, Denis Villeneuve or whatever. He's French.
If
I
you're
gave him
French,
my best shot.
comment and we'll pop it up on the screen. Put a pronunciation guide and we'll get it up.
But I think his films are beautiful. Like, they're incredibly well told and they're visually stunning. From Arrival to the Blade Runner sequel, just incredibly visual. And I know that that was the big film that sued Warner Brothers for doing the HBO Max thing. So they actually won that suit. They came to an agreement. So that's going to be off television or off streaming much longer, right? It's going to be in that new 45, 50 day window they're going to experiment with. So that would probably be the one. If that's good, or at least supposed to be really visually appealing, that's probably the first thing I can think of that begs me to go to the theater experience. I'm also similar to you, Frank, as in I have a 3-year-old, so there's a whole added layer of going out.
Yeah. It was always difficult, and now it's even more. For me, it's always the aesthetic, right? You want to go to a movie for either because it's visually amazing. You have an awesome light system that you set up for your TV for Godzilla versus King Kong, and that's probably the only way I would really enjoy.
I spent the whole pandemic really doing this room just in enough time to like go back to work. So I finished, and then it was like, okay, that's great. And then, now I'm back in the office full time.
So it's a good thing you had that free time. No, but yeah. So like there are certain things. Dune, I think visually would be something you want to see on a huge screen. I love the drive-in experience. Absolutely always have loved the drive-in experience. But
that's been great with all the new drive-in pop-ups.
I think
awesome.
that the one thing that I'm missing, and I guess this leaks into the Marvel conversation, is that there isn't that moment, that cultural, believe it or not, a cultural moment where everybody wants to see this one thing. I still watch Endgame reaction videos where like it's audio from the theater and the Thundercap, spoiler alert, when Captain America picks up the hammer, Thor's hammer. It's like it viscerally makes me feel like I want to be around people again. It's not just about being afraid of being sick. We've all kind of gone through a little bit of trauma, and I feel like dealing with this is the delay on the chat is killing me, because sometimes occasionally someone will pop up something like, I'm like, we all survived trauma, and Helios Raven is like mew mew something else. But yeah, Black Widow doesn't quite do it for me. I don't know if I'd go back for that. Phase 4 doesn't even look like it's interesting. I'm gonna let somebody else talk. Anybody else want to go?
Oh,
Russell.
Muted Russell.
You may be muted.
Russell, refresh your browser. It's a browser.
Maybe, or it's XSplit, or maybe it's us trying to limit the amount he's going to talk about giant robots. All right, when Russell comes in, he's got words for us. Darren, how about you? Do you have anything to say about or Al?
Yeah,
anything to say about or Al?
There we go.
Here's what I think about or Al.
Yeah.
I think as far as movies, like going back to theater, I haven't seen a movie in a theater since February of last year. So I think the next one will probably be the Black Widow movie. I think that's going to be it, because my wife and I were huge Marvel nerds, and I don't know. And the fact that it is airing on Disney Plus, but I just really don't like the idea of having to pay an extra $30 to see the movie.
I'm with
like
you
I don't
on
know.
that one. I whatever we can do to keep that practice from continuing, I'm on board with.
You guys are just from such, I don't know, man. We can get into it another time, but
I don't know. It just feels like I'm paying more money. I don't know why.
No, I agree. I feel cheated by doing that.
I know
it cost me $30 to go to the movie theater with.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
But it's different. There's a different experience to going to a theater.
Sure, and if you value that experience, pay the money to go to the movie theater. Don't get me
absolutely.
wrong, I love movie theaters, but don't crap on somebody who again, like Frank and I were saying,
we're shut-ins. We need this.
Yeah, this is a great way to see a movie that I'm not.
I'm not saying
think of
I'm
the
not
people
saying
with
it
children.
shouldn't be on Disney Plus at all. I'm just saying I don't want to pay $30 for something that I'm already paying for.
And as long as the people in the studios and the stuff are getting appropriately represented from that, obviously the Warner Brothers.
It's a difficult situation. There's not a great perfect right answer to it. But I know the answer isn't paying $30 for a premium.
No,
service.
folks, we need a perfect right answer. That's what I'm tuned in for.
That's what
the correct answer is.
I have my perfect right answer. If you can hear me, it's working. All right, cool.
Yeah, you're
my
good.
Perfect right answer is it's the social side of things. We have tickets to go and see Conjuring 3 on Sunday, because we've seen all the other Conjuring movies and all the other Wanderverse movies in the theaters with our friend Allie. And this is like our chance. This is going to be our reunion event. We're going to get together. Cool. We're going to go with Allie. We're going to go see the next Wanderverse movie, and that's going to be like the thing. It's going to be it's that personal thing. We've had that tradition. We're maintaining that tradition. And I don't care if the movie is good or not. It's going to be, the continuation of the return.
I have a really important question. Are the James Wan horror movies really called the Wannaverse?
That's the name that they've been given in horror Twitter and such.
I learned something really new today, and I'm not sure if I like it.
You love it. I would go back to theaters to see the butthole version of Cats.
Will it finally end our terrible life?
I think it may. I think it would undo all the horror we've unleashed on the world. DC, I didn't mean that for a transition. I'm sorry. I have not finished the Snyder cut. It looks better than the theatrical cut. Fine. I just don't have a lot of time, like I said.
I've watched parts of both cuts. So.
I've been trying to force myself to watch that movie, not because it's like a pain to watch or something like that. I'm not saying I force myself as I'm torturing myself to watch it. I want to see it. I don't know. I I got to set aside time. I got to have 3 or 4 hours to go through it. And it's a commitment and it's time. And it's I don't know. I find it like, where do I get 4 hours by myself? Like, even in this situation that we're living in right now, it still feels weird to do that.
I feel like that's built into it. There are the chapter breaks that honestly work really well. I mean, that's how I watched it. I watched it with the chapter breaks. I mean, I didn't
series
endeavor, but it's like you're sitting down to watch, a TV series of hour-long episodes. You kind of have to say, all right, tonight I can do 2 episodes of Zack Snyder. Tomorrow night I can watch another episode of Snyder. Yeah.
And when you need some follow-up Snyder, you turn over to Netflix. And
I think that's a good way to do it. If I'd known it going in, and this is the staff meeting thing, after it had been released on HBO Max, I'm like, oh, this would have been a good thing to cover in episode format. But people have already been talking about it for a month. So late to the party? Yeah.
We haven't determined how late we're allowed to late to the party,
It's sometimes it's just too early to be late to the party. Like, this was a week old. You just missed the memo. This is not a late to the party.
So with DC though,
yeah,
I was going to say with DC, we only have one movie this year, right? We only have The Suicide Squad from James Gunn, which, I mean, of all the DC movies to be coming out, it certainly is one I am far more interested in than not.
Right. I would agree with that. I just wonder if we're ever going to have a cinematic universe that means anything, or if they're just going to draw the line and be like, from here. It'll be from here. Like, they could do that, and I would be totally forgive them. I would be like, okay, cool. This is a good movie.
I'm actually kind of cool with the loose and easy continuity idea we've been going with thus far with DC, because Marvel has been doing the MCU of tight continuity, everything just kind of being all this one universe. I'd be interested to see DC go a different route and just say it's loosely in the same continuity. Sure, some stories will go into each other, but it's not all going to fit together. We're not trying to make it that way.
I'm with Al. I'm not confused by it. I don't think general audiences are actually confused by it, despite the fact that people go online and rage that they're confused by it. Like my mother-in-law cherry-picked all the Marvel movies she saw. She sees the ones with Iron Man and the ones with Loki and, a couple of the Avengers movies, but none of the other ones in between. That never bothered her. So I can't imagine how, a loosely connected universe of DC movies would be a problem. But if they're going to draw a line, it'll probably be at Flash. They'll reset everything, and they'll be like, from here now.
They can use Flashpoint for anything they want to do with that.
Yeah.
I think one of the big differences is, and this is something I thought was interesting about Marvel, they put unknown characters in. They gave us the Ant-Man movie. They brought in Guardians of the Galaxy. Those movies, like, you could skip them, but then they really made them important to the continuity. Mm-hmm. And DC's, it's just always been the big. Shazam is the most out of nowhere character there. Otherwise, it's all Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Oh, I guess Flash now too. But that's kind of. It'd be nice to get a cyborg movie. I don't think we're going to get to, but that's kind of my thing.
After
you can just
all that.
Those ones you can just pick up and drop, because they're not going to have that same kind of, oh boy, I have to see the filler between these films with this other one.
Well,
I think we're going to find out in Phase 4 whether or not Marvel's plan. Well, this feels like such a nerd podcast thing going on right now. But I think we'll find out in Phase 4 whether Marvel's plan will pan out. No, but seriously, I've reached the point where, I don't know if I can watch everything that comes out in the next group of movies, and that feels like it's a big investment for the average Joe to do, and I'm not sure if none of these Phase 4 movies look super exciting. The ones we've gotten the trailers for, they look okay. They could be good, but I don't know if I'm buying in.
And excessive watching is just I enjoyed the Arrowverse pretty thoroughly when it first came out. I'm right in the right spot. I love that teen drama CWBS. It's a favorite sticking point of mine, but it's just so much that I was just overwhelmed by the idea of having to catch up or jump in. Same. And I was just guess I'm done with all of it forever.
So one of our viewers gave us a comment that's huge, but also a great time to reset the conversation. It's basically Katie Lynn is saying that forcing herself to watch the Snyder Cut, maybe the excuse might be the length, but sitting there watching all extended Lord of the Rings movies, no problem. I remember back in the day when we would watch the extended Lord of the Rings movies and be like, wow, this is it. Geeks.
I haven't done that
in years.
Yeah, I used to be able to do that. Now I'm like, oh man, that sounds like so much work.
I got offended. Someone did a Lord of the Rings watch during the pandemic, and I jumped in, and I immediately realized it wasn't the extended edition. I was like, "What is this?"
Hard pass.
What are you doing?
What are you doing to me? All right, back to the list. I think we have our definitive answers to Marvel and DC. Most people are ready to go back to the theaters, but we need something that looks pretty, really pretty, or is a cultural touchstone. Simple. 2, Dungeon not included. Brennan.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, we do a podcast called Dungeon Not Included. Come on, you all know. It's the best podcast on the network. And it's an actual play podcast Brennan conceived. Tell us a little bit about why there's no dungeons in it.
Well, I originally started out as a sci-fi game. So I was like, what's a good name for this podcast that's got a sci-fi game on it that is an actual play?
Yeah.
But now I'm committed to this name. I'm committed.
No dungeons.
No dungeons.
Absolutely not. It is, so everybody in this room except Darren, I've never role played with you, Darren.
We have to change that.
We got to do that. We got to get you into a game. It would be so fun.
One of us. I see where it's going.
I see where our pitch for SNL Nerds episodes are going.
Yes. Oh my God, the SNL.
Okay.
What? Apocalypse World Hack. Yeah. It'll all be season 85 now. All right. So, yes, I've gamed with all of you, tabletop gaming, and it's like, it's crazy how popular it has become in the last year or two. Normal people are listening to actual play podcasts.
Right. And it is mostly dungeon related. So, I'm bucking the trend.
Despite them not being included, they were provided.
Yeah. Well, like the huge explosion of Dungeons and Dragons, I kind of think, I know Critical Role is huge, obviously, but like I actually think Stranger Things made it bigger for people than anything else.
Oh yeah.
I think people like Stranger Things hit, and people are like, "Oh, this game! I vaguely remember it." All my nieces and nephews asked me about Dungeons and Dragons after Stranger Things, and when we went to conventions and ran it for kids, they would all have Stranger Things as a reference, not these other big podcasts. It's changed, I think, in the last year or two, but it started off as a D&D, and the thing is, that's all what people seem to know. Yeah, and it's weird.
It is a little weird, but there's a whole galaxy of games out there. So I want to try to explore some stuff that's a little different.
I think we should give a little bit of credit to Dungeons and Dragons itself, actually.
Although I agree with that. Yeah.
When it transitioned to 5th edition, that was such an easy pick up and play game compared to what had come before. That when all that hype started to come in, it converged with now it's just easy to play. Anyone can pick this up, and it's a lot of fun. And
I'm going to play.
I'm not saying D&D isn't a solid game. That's not what I'm.
Oh, I wasn't saying. No. I was just saying.
So I'm going to put a caveat on what Al's saying. I think that is mostly true. I think what's interesting is that D&D by 5th edition, picked up a bunch of indie books and philosophy, read it, and was like, okay, we'll adopt this stuff. Sometimes crediting the places they're adopting. In some cases, very recently, hiring the people who originally made these sweeping indie ideas. Great stuff. And then adapted it into their game. Nothing's wrong with that. That's actually great. Absolutely great. But it was weird, surreal to me because I grew up on AD&D, right? And I'm like, oh God, all right, encumbrance. How am I going to figure this out? In fact, I think at least James and Al, I may have met you through college gaming clubs where and this is how I'm in common with Brennan. I had a, what was it called? The D20 license? The open gaming license.
Gaming license, yeah.
Right? And I think Bulldogs was originally published under the
OGL, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I had a game that was under the OGL. And the idea was that everyone knows Dungeons and Dragons, so it'll make it easier for me to sell this game. And inevitably, I taught people Dungeons and Dragons. It wasn't like anybody knew it. They knew of it. They knew what role-playing was from it, but they didn't know any of the game. Almost no one knew what the game was. So it was that struggle of teaching people how to play this really, at the time, obscure, complicated, crunchy system. And then saying, but wouldn't you rather play this? Isn't it a little bit more fun? It kind of does the thing you want it to do. Do you want to do that?
we have no context really, so
So that's my context for like being asked to play this Bulldogs game for Dungeon Not Included. It was like, oh yeah, this is space adventure, much better. This is much better for like wacky space adventures.
But so you guys did the space adventure, which I really enjoyed. I didn't get to listen to all of it, but I listened to quite a lot of it. But you're doing something different right now, right? You're doing a video.
We're doing a live stream and converting it to the podcast afterwards. And the stream is of Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, the
second edition.
I was going to say
edition. What are they actually on?
5.
And they like just finished launching it. It was like
5 just came out. Yeah.
It just came out. We're like, yep, second edition. The party. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a blast. There's, I think, going to be 15 episodes of that, and I think next week will be the last episode for a time. It's been fun, and it's, again, for me, World of Darkness was the game I picked up right after AD&D when I was like, I want to try something new and edgy. And that was it. So like, it's fun that this is kind of going through with, because I'm seeing more and more people in the actual play atmosphere saying, we want to do something other than D&D. Again, nothing wrong with D&D, but they just want to try something new. And I love the fact that we went through the classic new, and now we're doing like, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do next.
Kind of brings in Russell here, actually.
Yeah. So what do we want to do next?
Russell?
Well, Russell has volunteered to run his game Tears of a Machine, which is a giant robots and teenage angst game.
Wait, can I play? I want to play.
See what we can do. We can try and get you on board.
I think we're going to do a couple of filler games before that, possibly, depending on how it's working out, because Russell, we're bringing you in when Alex is not going to be able to play this summer because he's working at a
top secret location.
Yes, that has no internet.
Darren isn't leaving because Alex is leaving. He doesn't have like a non-compete clause. He's trying to fix his audio. He'll be back in a minute. Yes, so I'm very excited for Russell to join us. Tell us a little bit about giant robots, Russell.
Okay, yeah.
Timer. No.
So I mean, the reason why I want to run it, for you all in July is because that's when I'll be kickstarting this new edition. Actually, this is Tears of a Machine SC. I've got art from the OG version up behind me. That's the old one. We're still working on art for the new edition. Maybe later I'll be able to show that off. But Tears of a Machine SC. It's a game of giant robots and teenage angst. It's aged up a little bit now. Actually, I watched Cobra Kai and said to myself, you know what? All of these mech shows with the teenagers, they're all just kind of like perpetually 15, and that's just kind of dull. So in this edition, I've aged the pilots up. So you're actually like, you're late teen giant robot pilots. You're 17, 18, 19. And part of what I wanted to make sure the game was about people growing up. So I wanted to put it, it's kind of like a dynamic part of your life, when a lot in your life is changing. And, I want to have like those moments where between giant robot fights, you have to go talk to the career counselor about what are your prospects for the future and that kind of thing. And that
when you're done fighting aliens in the giant robot, what's your career goals?
Yeah.
So sold on
assuming there's a world. Oh my God, this is way too topical, man.
That's part of it. That's part of it. Because in this case, you get to decide, I want to be a such and such, and then you get to go fight off the attacks from space to ensure you can be a such and such. Hopefully, but it's a game built. It's a proprietary system. I designed a lot of these things from the background of trying to make the game more accessible. I started using fate dice after I read some great articles by Jacob Wood about how accessible they are for people with low vision, because it's a nice big symbol. You could even read it by touch. I took out a lot of math because I really wanted something where numbers weren't really going to stand in the way of stuff. So I came up with a system of more descriptive traits. And one of the things I'm going to be doing is the finished book is going to be done as an audio book in a read along EPUB format. So I've got a couple of podcasters and Twitch streamers, including somebody whose face is on the screen right now. Going to get some people in to record all the book for me and lay all that out nice, so that when I when I deliver the book, we'll have of course the book that we, the physical book that you expect to be able to pick up and all that stuff. But in addition to PDF, I am also going to have that EPUB audiobook version of it out there. So, because I want more people gaming. And as much as we love those gigantic books with their, drop die tables and their 16 pages of reference on spells, it's a barrier to some people just getting through that much text and that much paper. So I really wanted to make sure that when I made my game, it's going to be, fun, exciting. Let's save the earth, but also let's make sure that more people have that opportunity, can be included to be the saviors of humanity or whatever.
And I love that. And I love that we came in on this talking about how D&D has this sense where, well, everybody knows this, which is not quite accurate and true. And when they simplified things, it opened it up more. But what you're planning on doing, Russell, with Tiers is making it so that I can actually it's turnkey more or less for teaching people how to play this game, which has always been the most exhausting part. Second most exhausting part of running a game. The first one is finding a schedule. Right. Is finding a time where a group of adults can agree to meet.
I can't fix that. I'm sorry. That's out of my hands.
That is an ancient curse.
Even the global pandemic didn't fix it.
No.
Yeah,
more stuff online. So I don't know.
Yeah. And also the fact that we hooked you into running it for us on Dungeon Not Included is super good, because nothing teaches me how to play better than being forced to play, as was evident in the last few episodes of the Bulldogs arc, where Brendan was like, "This is how you play my game," and we're like, "Oh." Now it makes sense. Hooray! All right, I would like to say, back to our agenda for a minute. When we first met you, Russell, we were doing a late to the party that has gotten somehow even later and more party-ish. Can you catch us up a little bit on Evangelion, and then we are going to once again go to the timer?
Have you seen the final new movie?
I have not.
There's the new movie. I haven't watched it yet. I've read some reactions. I'm trying not to spoil it for myself. I want to be, a good little boy and not pirate it, because, I'm sure that Hideaki Anno is not going to be able to afford that other golden, limousine or whatever if I pirate it. So I'm not doing that. I'm being good. But yeah, I honestly feel like we might need to have another late to the party just to cover the films, because the series of films that have come out are interesting. I've seen some great videos that talk about how, well, in the combined universe, this is actually time loop number 4, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
That third movie goes some places.
It goes some strange places. And I mean, I've felt really up and down about them. I mean, the first one is just a straight up recreation of some really great episodes of the show. That's cool. The second one starts that way and then swerves, and there are parts about it that I actually really love. There are some scenes in that one that I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want, not only from Evangelion, but what I want in my own game. Like, there's a sequence of some people just wanting to have a nice simple dinner together, and it's interrupted by, giant robot attack and then tragedy. I'm like, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Right. The third one comes out, and oh boy, we spend a lot of time staring contemplatively at the horizon and thinking real hard about just thoughts. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the fourth one wraps all that stuff up. Because I feel like it's been a great series. They've done wonderful stuff. Episode 3 it was like the Matrix sequels, where they kind of bought in their own hype a little too much, which is weird, to go that many decades without buying into your own hype to the point that you're just, parodying yourself. But we'll see if they can recover from that. I don't know.
Fingers crossed. I mean, it took me, I don't know how long it's been since we stopped the last of the party, but late to the party, but that last late to the party, that's what I was trying to say. But it's not until now that I'm like, I can watch more Evangelion. and it's not, and I didn't dislike it. I loved it, but it was like that ending was so
taxing. It's
Yeah.
taxing. Yeah.
So I hope that this film does not make me go absolutely nuts. All right. Speaking of going nuts, we have to go back to our agenda and let's see what's next on our list. SNL nerds. The season's over. This has been a crazy season for SNL for everyone, I guess. From the from home shows, which were just weird and then slightly better, to all the casting changes from the start. So what are you folks, what are you in trouble thinking about doing for the summer?
I don't know. Well, I do not have some stuff written down. I didn't come here unprepared. Because
His notebook is full of nothing.
Little doodles.
Recipes. Giant robot? Question mark? Role-playing game. Frank hitting on me? Question mark? I was.
Wow.
Definitely. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Put it out there.
Calling HR.
Yeah.
But no, but just because last year during the summer, because we were all quarantined and indoors, that's the summer that John Trumbull, my co-host, we were indoors and we were just watching SNL related movies the whole summer. But now that things are kind of opening up, we kind of want to maybe branch out and do other things that are SNL related. Like we'll probably still do SNL related movies, SNL related TV shows. Like I know Cecily Strong has the TV show Schmigadoon that's going to be on Apple Plus.
Oh, it's coming out. Okay, I never heard of it. I was like, what?
Oh. Yeah. No, it's coming on Apple Plus in July. It's her, Keegan-Michael Key. I think like Alan Cummings is in it. It's like sitcom, but there's also a lot of like musical theater involved in it too. So if you're a big fan of musicals, you'll like this one. Okay. And I also know she also has a book coming out too. Well, that's another thing we're also thinking about too. One of our fans reached out and said, "Hey, you should maybe do like an SNL book club." So we were thinking about doing that. Like, it's real.
I love it. We got some non-pro synergy going here.
Yeah.
The Machine's coming out as a book.
Go on.
And then book club. SNL. I actually think that is a great idea. To do an SNL, because my favorite kinds of books that most people don't talk about are like the memoirs, the biographies that come out from like old showbiz people. And I think there's some like early cast bios that would be amazing to cover. And then there's probably some more recent stuff too.
There's always the Gilda Radner bio book, and there's Rachel Dratch came out with one. Most recently, Colin Jost came out with one a year ago. And Cecily Strong is coming out with one in August this summer. So I think we might get a hold of that. If she's doing like press stuff, maybe we can get an interview that way. And that's also another thing we've been thinking about doing, just having more interviews with people who are sort of SNL related or work for SNL, former cast members. I think we got a good shot at getting. There's two people I'm thinking that we could really get. One is Q Card Wally. He's this guy.
Nice. Yeah. Q Card Wally.
No?
Explain him to everyone else. But yeah, he's like a famous, like a legendary character in SNL lore, and who go ahead. Sorry.
He's a Q Card guy for SNL. He's been there for 30 years, and he's seen them all come and go. And during the pandemic, when it started, he was doing this thing where he was selling personalized Q cards and mailing them out. And I actually have one too. I actually, got one. It says "Tape from New Jersey, SNL nerds." So when people found out he was doing that, it kind of spread like wildfire. He was doing interviews about it. He was on Seth Meyers, and he's got a lot of stories. He's a cool guy. He's in Jersey. He's in like Livingston, I believe.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was in Jersey.
Yeah, no, he's
working.
He's in Jersey. Yeah. Right. So, So like we were thinking about reaching out to him, see if we can get him on the podcast. And also another person, Gary Kroger, who we follow on Twitter, and he follows us back too. He's not an original cast member, but he was a cast member from 82 to 85, with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And he has like a lot of stories. He's kind of in politics now. He's like a Democrat in Iowa, and he's like super liberal, but he's like really super nice and like really, outgoing, and has a lot of great stories of his time on SNL back in the early 80s. So I think, awesome. So I think we're really going to reach out to him too and see what's up.
I love doing more interview shows, and This is how the sausage is made. Occasionally, I'll try to be in on the interview show just to record it as a kid. When it's a guest, you don't want to lose that audio. And I think you guys got cursed. There are so many times where it was like the audio is half present. Yeah, so I'm glad we got some good things. We got some Patreon content up right now with Hugh Fink.
Yes, the Hugh Fink Hugh Fink episode was a really good one. That's,
and I think it's free now. I think if you go to our Patreon, patreon.com/nonpro, I think it was released to the public and you can listen to it. It was really good. I love the idea of doing a book club for even partially because these books, like this is one of those that's a subject matter where having someone sum it up for you and give you the bullet points and what have you is like the best. Like you got to pick up this book. It's really interesting, and here's some amazing stories that came from it. And then if you really find it compelling, you go and get the book.
Right.
So I think it works really well. Let's focus on book club a little bit. Okay. I know Gwen, who really wants to pilot our book club, couldn't make it tonight. But this is staff meeting, so we're going to plan it out. My idea for a book club, which I think I've talked about publicly by now, is to do it like a choose your own adventure book club, where the idea is we pick books that we've wanted to read and we talk about them together when we get together for book club. And it doesn't have to be the same book. So this is less book report club and more like, reading club. Does that make sense? So theoretically,
so not everybody's reading the same book.
Not everyone's reading the same book, and we don't talk much about the details of the plots or whatever because most of these books most books don't require a spoiler alert. I would say, but like it's less about the subject matter and the actual text that you're reading, but the process of reading. So I would tell you, like, for example, I'm currently reading Flatland for the first time. I bought it at a Borders Books and Music like more than a decade ago. It's for those of you who know, Flatland is like an 1800s fiction, romantic fiction about like geometric shapes. It's like one of these big, it's almost like Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, but like completely about a triangle and a square and a circle and the social structures that they have. It's a very weird read. I bought it for $1 because it's a public domain book that they were just, mass producing and selling. And it's weird to me to read something that would have been written more than 100 years ago. The foreword to that book was like 75 years ago. And it talked about like, this ancient book that I'm writing a foreword for. It's so surreal reading this book, but like I could talk about it without actually having anybody else having read it as well. We just talked about the nature of reading. I don't know if that works for anyone. Does that sound like it would be fun to tune in and listen to? It feels like it would be fun to have a conversation with, but I don't know.
I think there's value to that. I think, the first thing that kind of sprang to my mind was sort of like the little reading rainbow snippets at the end of each episode. It's just meant to get you primed to like a book or to think about a book, where we don't, they don't necessarily break the whole thing. Some of them, they break the whole thing down, but most of it's just about the idea of like, let's get people excited to read. And hey, here's like it's almost a series of trailers, just skimming through all the books that people are looking at right now.
That's actually a good point. Yeah. James.
I have a pile of books too, that are written by like friends of the show. Like, I know Ben, right. Published a book right at the beginning of the pandemic. And Nate, he published a book, just recently as well. Friends of the show, books that I've been meaning to, they're sitting on my pile. Like, got to read these. If I, again, like you, Frank, if I make it a job, like a little bit of work, it always helps me kick things off the bucket list. But I'd love to talk about some stuff like that. For sure,
so
even if it's just snippets.
I've even like game books, like I've kickstarted so many books that I'm like, oh, this is fun, on the shelf. Like I don't have. I think this might be a good idea to like get the engine running and want to play. Actually, Brendan, do you want to talk about a game that you're thinking about launching soon, or is that we're just gonna tease that? I don't know. I don't want to say anything unless you're ready to say it.
Oh, you talking about katanas and trench coats?
Yes.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. It's a game about the wild fantasy tropes of the 80s and 90s. Yeah, it's meant to be totally over the top Highlander style, but also crazy magicians. There's a car magicians or car wizards are one of the classes.
90s Frank already bought this.
Yeah,
He's already signed up, pre-order. Yeah, so like there's a lot of stuff that I could imagine going through, but one of the things that I think would be difficult would be saying, all right, everyone, circle the wagons. Who wants to read the same book? It was hard to do. What was it? Darker Shade of Magic? I think it's Darker Shade of Magic, and it was a great book. I would have never picked it for myself, and I enjoyed it a lot. But like, how many times can you do this? So I think it's a good idea. I think we should maybe launch it on the fan club on facebook.com/groups/non-pro, whatever, and then maybe see if people want to bite, because it could be fun. All right. So the last thing on our official list is, and I do have a couple of things I want to talk about afterwards, so I'll just muscle through. Infinity Train. I love Infinity Train. That's it. That's all I got.
Brought to you by HBO Max. Take a shot.
Yeah, I've wanted to see it for a while because I thought like just the animation style was really great, and the showrunner, the creator from regular show, is amazing, but I had no concept of what this is, and it kind of mixes up in my mind with a bunch of other things, Adventure Time and what have you. And I'm like, I don't know what this is really about, and then finally I said, all right, this seems pretty good. I think actually Adrian Stein, who everybody loves, in our fan club, suggested Infinity Train, and I was like, all right, if that, he has never steered me wrong on a recommendation. Bathtubs Over Broadway is one of my favorite movies, documentaries of all time.
I've wanted to watch that. Is that still on Netflix?
It's so good. It's so good. It's so damn good. Anyways, so I watched season 1, muscled through it, like not muscle through it, breezed through it. I watched it with my niece who was babysitting at the time, and she left for like a week or two, and I was like, come back, season 2, we have to do this. It was just 4 seasons. That's all we're getting so far. Probably that maybe all we'll ever get, but it's an amazing, relatively quick watch too. I think it's like 10 episodes or 8 episodes a season.
Yeah, each season is 10 episodes. They're each 15 minutes a pop, and they just the last season, it was over. I started it, and then it was over.
It's great.
Katie looked at me. She's like, "You finished that whole thing?" I'm like, "I don't even know how long I've been here. I just right through."
The basic premise is there is a train. I'm not going to spoil anything because this is just the storytelling is what's so compelling about this. There's a train that has an infinite amount of cars in it, and each one is like a world unto itself. And really, it's about learning lessons about yourself as you go from car to car in the train. And each season follows another character that is dimly related to the other seasons. You want to watch it in order, but not super dependent. If you like character, if you like genre, if you think sci-fi is a way of expressing deeper stories about ourselves, this series, and if you like funny things, it's just weird. It's just so, there's a bear who wears sunglasses and a robe who's making breakfast, and one scene in the background is like, ugh. Like he's reacted to he's just such a weird guy. What's his story? Why is he wearing a bathrobe? Why is that after? I don't know. It's beautiful.
The story behind how the show kind of came to be too is fascinating. So the gentleman who did the show, right from regular show, did the pilot for Cartoon Network. They ordered the pilot created. They aired the pilot once on Cartoon Network. And then it went away for a long time. I mean, like a year and change. And then they actually put it online, right? They put the pilot on YouTube for free. And it just blew up on YouTube. So they actually ordered more episodes, which they originally started releasing on YouTube and Cartoon Network's YouTube, and then transferred the series to television for the replay of season 1. Season 2 aired on Cartoon Network. Season 3, which I think feels, to me, season 3 felt like it was a bit of a darker turn.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The show that moved to HBO Max, right? Because it's got the Cartoon Network partnership, and then season 4 finished up on HBO Max as well.
That was pretty interesting, but mostly James's would find that interesting.
Well,
but I did find it interesting. But I'm like, this is a James centric topic. This is like, here's some deep production knowledge. But I do like that
really
stuff.
Come on, interesting syndication knowledge.
Yeah,
television shows are weird now.
Yeah.
No,
it's an important part of any show's history. Look at Gravity Falls. Look at the change in tone that happened as Gravity Falls moved to Disney XD, and all that kind of thing. And Samurai Jack final season coming back. Entirely different broadcast block,
which I just watched.
Huge change in tone. Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, the Russell Collins season of Dungeon Not Included. It's gonna be weird.
Change in tone.
If the dice roll well for you and you don't have to do anything crazy to keep your mecha from running wild across the battlefield, then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just
I'm sure that won't happen to us at all.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not
May
at
the
all.
dice be
Good die rolls and you're safe. Good die rolls and you're safe. Nothing's gonna go wrong.
So I think we covered a lot of ground. We have a lot of we know what the future of Dungeon Not Included is. SNL Nerds, we've got a good idea of some cool stuff that can be done. A book club, I think we have an idea to pitch, and it'll either succeed or fail on its own. And clearly we fixed Marvel because it needed. I don't even know why that was a bullet point. I guess it's just, it pays the internet dollars. There's a million.
Snyderverse?
Sure. Is that the new one?
Yeah, I think so.
Bring back the butthole cut. I actually more than the butthole cut.
Fan release of the Mario movie that just came out.
Oh, with 20
Yes.
minutes of deleted
There's an extra 20 minutes of the Super Mario Brothers movie that someone found, and they edited into the movie that just got released, I think yesterday or today.
that turns that movie around.
Finally,
a lot more drunken shenanigans, right?
You gotta find Darren. You gotta find some sort of in where that movie is an SNL movie. There's gotta be something.
I don't think we want to do that.
Some extra somebody.
The SNL nerds have the most interesting fans on Twitter who will dig. They'll be like, "All right, hear me out." Someone on the production staff once hit an SNL cast member's cousin with a car. Maybe.
Sounds like talking about Dennis Hopper, but all right.
Who hasn't? Really, who hasn't? So yeah, I mean, I have so many other things I want to ask and go through, but it's such a perfect time. We've reached an hour. It's such a wonderful time to break. I'm going to try to find some cool things to end on. I don't have end credits, but I do have a thank you, an old dated thank you to our patrons, which I have not updated in many years. So all you newer patrons, get on it. Make a stink. Let me know, because I forgot we did it.
Donate more.
Any of the people that happened in the last 3 months. Sorry about that. We'll update it. And let's see, what else do I got? I can play that staff meeting video from the top of the show. It'll be 7 minutes. I did 2 cuts of that. I did one cut that had a clock on the bottom because I was like, people are not going to know that there's ever going to be an end to this. Well, who knows? Thank you all for joining. I hope we keep doing these staff meetings, touch base on the projects we're working on, both on externally with Kickstarter. Actually, let's do a quick roundtable of how to follow us. Darren, can you do your Twitter and the SNL Nerds?
Yeah, sure. On Twitter and Instagram, you can find me at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible. And
awesome.
SNL Nerd Show on Twitter. Boom.
Yeah, there you go. Russell, where can we find out more about your work and find out about that Kickstarter that's coming?
Sure. Well, at Robot Claw, ROBOTCLAW on Twitter, if you want to, hear my ramblings about things various and sundry. It's mostly going to be stuff about Tears of a Machine because that's going to be my entire July. Also, the blog is robotclaw.info if you want to, read in long form my yammerings about things like role-playing games, giant robots, and book accessibility.
Awesome. All right, Brennan, how about stuff about Galileo games and Dungeon Not Included?
Sure. You can find me at Brendan R. Taylor on Twitter, and Dungeon Not Included is at DNI Crew on Twitter, and you can find Galileo Games at galileogames.com.
Very good. So James and Al, I don't care about you or what you have to know because we did not speak of any of your specific projects. James, do you have anything? Are you still getting rid of wood chips?
Yeah, I am. Yes. Anyone locally to New Jersey needs some wood chips.
If you need wood chips, find James.
Contact me. I have plenty. No, I'm getting back to doing conventions again, which actually, if you want, I do regularly post on Instagram at BombChewXOX all the convention work I'm doing, and that's
nice.
Actually exciting.
Yeah.
Right now, particularly for me. Otherwise, on non-pro, my personal projects mean nothing.
Yeah. Al, you have some. Actually, speaking of returning to conventions, you have a podcast out on our network right now about convention horror stories, as if you were trying to scare people away from conventions.
How dare you?
Yeah. It's a interesting listen. I like a lot. It scared the hell out of me, and that's appropriate, I guess. But that was a good show. Anything else you want to promote right now?
Oh, actually, yeah. At the end of July, Al's Gaming Emporium will be at ZoloCon in Pennsylvania.
Hey, you're back.
Yeah, we'll be finally conventions are coming back, so we're finally going to start selling video games and other memorabilia again. So you can go ahead and follow us at Al's Gaming Emporium at facebook.com. So.
And everyone help me harass Al to get that game podcast off the ground.
That actually, interestingly enough, we've gotten a bit of a cast together for that. We're going to record episode 0 on Friday, and see how that all shapes out. It's not going to be something we'll pitch or put in. Like if patrons want to listen to it, we can maybe do something with that. But I think it's just to test chemistry and see what we want to work on.
I've been wanting this for a while. Al's been cool enough to be like, all right, I think I've got this. I remember what games are, and better than me. I'm too old, just too old, too old and tired. And on that note,
good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Stay tuned for another 7 minutes of edited together footage. Look, this isn't even the full screen. Look how bad this is. This is so awful. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Yeah. So terrible. This is trash production meeting. But yes, for another 7 minutes of ridiculously edited together copyrighted material that's probably going to make this video flagged and useless to anyone. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.